When we think about AI failing, our minds usually jump to some kind of robot apocalypse, right? But the real danger isn't some big, sudden explosion. It's more like a slow, silent decay. What if the systems we rely on every day are already broken and we're just not seeing it? Let's dig in.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 5 stages to really get this. First, we'll look at the quiet warning signs of a system in trouble. Then, we'll uncover this secret hero holding it all together, the invisible human buffer. After that, we'll see what happens when that buffer is gone, and that leads to the inevitable collapse. And finally, don't worry, I'll give you a way to find these flaws in your own systems. So let's start with that feeling. You know the one. It's that little voice in the back of your head that says, something's not quite right here. There are no alarms going off, no flashing red lights, just this weird, quiet sense that things are starting to go off the rails. And what does that look like? Well, you start seeing these really strange, contradictory signs. On one hand, everything seems to be slowing down. Reports are taking forever, and suddenly your calendar is just jammed with meetings about, meetings. But on the other hand, the actual outputs from the AI, they seem fine. But you've got this gut feeling that someone, somewhere, is quietly cleaning up a mess behind the scenes.
And that's the paradox that makes this whole thing so tricky. The system is slowing down, but the errors seem to be vanishing? It's like a magic trick. And it makes you wonder, what invisible force is propping all of this up and creating this illusion of stability?
To get the answer, we have to pull back the curtain, because holding this whole fragile system together is an unsung hero, an invisible force working tirelessly when no one is looking.
So before I just give you the answer, think about it for a second. With all this automation we're building, what's the one thing that still stops our complex systems from just completely falling apart?
The answer, believe it or not, is us. It's people. And hey, this isn't just a hunch. It's actually backed up by research from places like Google's site reliability teams. They found that humans are the secret ingredient, the ultimate stabilizers in these super complex automated worlds. And we're not talking about the kind of work that shows up on a project plan. Now, this is the invisible stuff. It's people using their intuition to figure out a vague request, or to connect two systems that just don't want to talk to each other. It's someone hitting the brakes on a bad decision before it's too late, and quietly fixing a mistake before anyone even knows it happened. Let's give this a name, because it's a really important concept: the human buffer. Think of it like a shock absorber for your car. It's that layer of human judgment and common sense that cushions the rigid and sometimes dumb logic of an automated system. It's the real reason a system that's about to fall over can look perfectly fine on the surface.
But of course, this leads to a pretty terrifying question. What happens when we chase that dream of total automation and we take this vital human buffer out of the equation? Well, as you're about to see, the results are not good.
Here's a way to think about it. Human-paced work is like driving down a scenic country road, right? You've got time to pause, look around, maybe adjust your course if you see something up ahead. But AI-paced work? That's a bullet train. It's on a single track, going full speed, and there are no stops. And when you remove that pause, you totally remove the chance to make a correction. And when things are moving that fast, what's the first thing to go? Human judgment. All that amazing, nuanced understanding, that gut feeling that people bring to their work, it just vanishes. The AI just becomes a blind follower, executing orders without any context, and without that crucial ability to stop and say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. And the result? A system that goes from looking totally stable to catastrophically unstable in what feels like a blink of an eye. All those tiny little cracks that the human buffer was patching up are now wide open. And at machine speed, those tiny cracks don't stay tiny. They become massive, gaping holes that threaten to bring the whole thing down. So this brings us to what I think is the most important idea in all of this. We have to completely change how we think about what a system collapse even means. Here it is, the big aha moment. An AI failure isn't sudden, it's revealed. The system didn't just break. The truth is, it was broken the entire time. All we did was remove the person who was hiding the cracks. I want you to picture a master watchmaker. They're tending to this incredibly complex clock. With just a tiny adjustment here, a little nudge there, they can keep it running perfectly, even if some of the gears are a bit worn out. But what happens if you take the watchmaker away? The clock doesn't suddenly break. Instead, all of its hidden flaws, its deep problems, are finally exposed for everyone to see.
So let's be really clear about this. When we see an AI system fail, we are almost always looking in the wrong place for the cause. The problem isn't some line of buggy code. It's a flaw in the actual design of the system itself. We build these complex machines that secretly depend on a person to keep them running, and then we act shocked when they fall apart without them.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we stop this from happening? How can we spot these problems before it's too late? Well, the good news is, there's a simple but really powerful way to find these hidden flaws.
It really comes down to 3 steps. First, you have to basically become a detective and map out your workflow. Really understand how stuff gets done, step by step. Next, look for the footprints. Find those spots where a person has to step in to make things work. And finally, you have to ask what if. What would catch on fire if that person just wasn't there to intervene? So I'll leave you with this challenge. Go look around your own organization. Try to find the quiet heroes, the silent problem solvers. Because wherever you find someone fixing things behind the scenes, you have just found your human buffer. And that is where your real work begins.